Hey everyone, it's Casey, and today we're going to go through a guided meditation class. But if you've taken my other meditations before, this will have a slightly different approach. I like to do a lot of guidance, a lot of kind of preparation for the practices and getting ourselves to that point of kind of delayering all the clutter, stress, and everything that kind of stands in the way between us and being more presently connected with ourselves. And usually that takes on some kind of form of technique or an exercise or something specific that we're using as a tool to help us get to that state of more stillness, more presence, more connection in our meditation practice. But all of those approaches and techniques are an act of doing. You're doing something by changing the way we experience the present moment. So when we, for instance, in other meditation practices, you would notice a thought and you would allow yourself to just kind of push the thought away and come back into a state of presence, right? Maybe it's redirecting the attention to the breath or visualization or a mantra. We push away the thoughts and come back into a still space. Now, there is a theory or concept that is a different approach to a meditation, which is a full acceptance and allowance for you to sit with the thoughts that are there. Okay, it's the state of being versus the state of doing. And when we're taking an exercise or when we're doing a technique, that is doing something, right? We're changing the way that we're experiencing the present moment or manipulating it by changing the course of direction. Hey, I see my thoughts are going here. I'm going to bring my presence back. Oh, my thoughts are going here. Let go of the thoughts, come back, right? The state of releasing your thoughts and coming back to presence and awareness. Okay. Now, the approach we're doing today is instead of pushing the thoughts away and letting them go, we're going to do the exact opposite. It's not like we're attaching more than we would. We're just allowing ourselves to be with what is while it is there. We're not pushing energies away. We're not pushing thoughts away. We're not pushing emotions away. We're not pushing anything away. We're not changing. We're not grasping. We're not trying to think of something that we want. We're not doing anything. We're just simply coming into a state of beingness, okay? Now, the first thing that you're going to think is, my mind won't turn off. It's going to be going crazy the entire time, and all I'm going to be doing is thinking. Okay, then that is your practice. How often do you get to allow yourself to just be still with the components of your mind? Probably not very often. And chances are, if the mind does kind of start to process a lot, we're sitting in our mind, we're sitting in that still space, we're allowing it to take us into all these directions. And then we start going into that state of doing. And this is just being, just allowing what's there to be there. There's no avoidance and there's no attachment or grasping. We're just allowing everything to naturally flow in and flow out. Sometimes this means a lot of emotion, a lot of bigness, a lot of energy. And sometimes this means it feels kind of all over the place, right? Sometimes it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a lot of distraction or the ping pong brain, okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your experience is. If you think the whole time, if you have just emotion the whole time, if your brain goes into one specific focus and you're just immersed there the whole time. Okay, this concept, this concept is going to take on more of the role of seeing where you are in presence, seeing more about yourself based on where does your mind go? What do your feelings feel like? What is the energy that you're experiencing? It's allowing your natural state of beingness to be and to just draw awareness to that state of being without trying to change it. So this will leave a lot more room for quiet, and stillness. So even though I'll do a little bit of guidance and I'll kind of pop in here and there to keep things, just so you know I'm here with you, this is going to be more of a still practice. This is going to be more of a silence and observational practice where you're going to kind of let go a little bit more and just allow yourself to be in your thoughts and your feelings and all of those things, without having to change or wait for a direction from me. This is you be with you and let yourself experience what that is. And then, like I said, I'll touch in just to bring your awareness to what is that experience? What are you having in that moment? Okay. So find a comfortable seat. I have 2 blocks that I'm propped up on right now, to help take a little bit of lift off of my feet and alleviate some pressure in my knees. Anything that's going to help you feel comfortable if you're taking cross-leg seat or sitting in a chair or whatever that looks like for you. It doesn't have to be so formal, okay? But wherever you are, just go ahead and close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, you're giving yourself the permission to go inward, saying, I'm going from the external world and I'm starting to transfer my awareness inward, to start taking inventory and noticing what is going on inside of myself. So when the eyes close, let's feel a gentle lifting up through the spine, all the way up through the crown of your head. Feel the shoulders melting down away from the ears. A nice anchoring down into those sits bone. A nice broadening in the chest. A softening through your eyebrows, your forehead, your jaw. We're going to try to create as much stillness and relaxation as we can through our physical bodies. And that way we can allow whatever the happenings of the mind are to just not be so influenced by the body, but more influenced by your internal world. So spine lifts all the way through the crown, and then just imagine everything else just draping down heavy towards the floor. As though you're just being propped up by the crown of your head from a string, and everything else is just kind of falling into place. Feel that softness start to trickle all down the face, the head, trickle down through the shoulders, the spine, the arms, and then feeling it ground down into the base of your hips, melting down the legs, and all the way down through the feet. Allowing the full physical self to arrive in this present moment, just as you are. And as you settle in, notice all the movements that kind of start to surface. Allow yourself to move, get those fidgets out, those little anxious movements that start to trickle up. And as you shift them out, let yourself land into more presence. And even if those physical movements come up again, it's okay. Move them out. Let them shift. Let them rearrange and come back into your physical stillness. So this is the only thing that we're really going to focus on bringing back, is just the body. Not letting the body just be a constant state of distraction, but instead trying to get the body to relax so that we can fully be present with what the mind is doing while it is doing it. The mindfulness aspect is to pay attention to full present moment. So once the body feels more rested, take note of all the movement inside of yourself. The movement of your breath. Where is it moving to? How does it feel? Don't change it. Just notice it. Take about 3 breaths on your own, unchanged, and just observe where you're breathing, the depth of your breath, and any sensation behind the breath. Chances are we're taking kind of quick, shallow breaths. And we probably feel the breath more localized up into the chest, heart area. And that's okay. Maybe the breath is down deeper into the belly, but typically a more unconscious breath we have lifted up into the chest. It's usually when we're directing the breath to be different that we allow the belly breath to expand and release. Unless we just feel very relaxed and softened, you might feel that gentle expansion and release. Feel any energy throughout your body. I like to visualize the circulation through my body, my veins, that kind of freeway system through the inside of your body, connecting everything together, pumping from the heart and being sorted and sifted through the entire body. I want you to just visualize that you can feel the energy moving throughout. Imagine that you can feel the veins carrying the blood, the oxygen. You feel even more energy than just the breath. Notice any areas that start to speak up a little bit more loudly. And then observe the movement of your mind. What are the first thoughts that your mind attaches to? Where does it go first? I'm going to give us about a minute to just sit in stillness to observe where the mind wanders. Let go of control and just let your mind do what it does, but follow. Just quickly start to bring your awareness to where your mind went. Starting to bring more of the not analytical side, because we don't want to analyze or process or get too deep into the whys, but just notice where it went, what the mind felt to be of importance in that very moment. And based on that thought, how did it make you feel? Was it neutral? Did it feel heavy? Was it negative? Or was it a positive, light, buoyant feeling? Experiencing the emotions that naturally support these feelings, these thoughts. Recognizing sometimes we fall instantly into negative thought patterns. Sometimes we fall into positive thought patterns. Sometimes we go to feelings of stress or urgency, impatience. And then sometimes the mind goes to something light and imaginative, expansive. Where does your mind go when it's no longer being controlled or guided? Once again, just another minute here. We're prepping the mind to drop into little bits of stillness at a time. So sitting still, without judgment, just allow yourself to observe. Where does the mind wander? And how does it feel? So now that you've dropped in again for your second time, did the mind wander to the exact same thoughts? Was it something different? What was it? Once again, how did it make you feel? Was it one specific thought? Was it a multitude of different thoughts? Did those different thoughts have any connection or correlation, or were they all just very random and scattered? Is there emotion that supports these thoughts? Or does it feel a little bit more empty or hollow, maybe a little more matter of fact versus emotionally driven? We analyze without the judgment. There is no judgment. There is no good or bad or right or wrong. It's all just simply being as you are. This is the natural workings of your mind, your body. So getting to know yourself more and more by the way our thoughts think, by the way we process, and also the way we respond to these feelings, to these thoughts. Are we hard on ourselves? Or do we give ourselves compassion, understanding, and ease? We get to choose how we respond. So just allow it fully to be here. If something feels negative, be aware of negative talk that we have towards ourselves. If we feel like our mind wanders to random things, recognizing, okay, the mind is very busy. It is very distracted. Let it play its game. Let it bounce all over the place. Let it attach to all the things that it thinks is important. Because in this moment, it is. So allow it to be there for as long as it feels good. And then just let it go. All of these thoughts that feel so important and that feel so distracting for us, think of them as starved thoughts. These starved thoughts just want to be heard. They have not been expressed. They have not been processed. They have not been presently viewed. So when we're constantly pushing things away and grasping only towards the things that we want, we ignore a lot of these thoughts. And so what happens when we just allow them to be there? Maybe at first the thoughts are just distracting, ways to get ourselves away from being present and being still. But eventually, after a while, maybe not this practice, maybe not next practice, maybe many practices from now, the mind finally realizes that all of those little distractions, they come to an end at some point. We no longer have all these little distractions to busy our mind, that it just kind of relaxes and lets go and says, okay, I guess we're just here now. I guess this is just what we're doing now. There's this kind of release of resistance, because once we just allow the brain to bounce around, to be distracted, to do what it does to keep us from being present, eventually it will get tired. Eventually it will start to relax and come into a place that feels more still and calm and connected. And even if it's just for a split second, we touch into that little bit of still before the next thing comes about. And maybe over time, the mind gets a little bit more softened to the idea of being present. Or maybe we're able to process and work through some difficulty or challenges within our lives, those thoughts that feel very strong and prominent, feel like they need a lot of attention and unwinding and problem solving and analyzing. Sometimes just allowing ourselves moments of stillness to just be fully immersed in those thought processes and that wave of thinking, that we are slowly unraveling this big mental knot, this energetic knot, that it takes time. And maybe after we give the brain enough time to just slowly unwind it, one knot at a time, then one day we no longer need that thought anymore, because it has been processed and the energy has now gone. It is left. Just by allowing ourselves to process, to feel, to gain new insight and perspective. A lot of things we push away, we avoid, we don't allow ourselves to process, and therefore the energy remains and it lingers and it spirals and circles about throughout, touching it. Every time we touch into those thoughts, we feel ourselves want to push it away, push it away, push it away. But what happens when we just allow ourselves to invite it in, allow it to be there? We give it less power. It has less power over us because no longer do we feel the need to push these things away, but we embrace all of these aspects of ourselves, no matter how painful or distracting, we just allow a full processing and releasing to just experience our thoughts and our emotions exactly as they are without feeling the need to push them away, to avoid them, or to grasp onto and hold them as though we only want the good thoughts and never the bad thoughts. They're all part of our experience to get to know ourselves, so just observe and allow. I'm going to give us probably the next 10 minutes, maybe a little bit less, to sit in stillness and to just observe the workings of your thoughts and your emotions. Don't feel like you need to redirect your attention back to anything. Just continue to follow the process and the workings of your mind. Observe where it's taking you, how far it takes you, but without any judgment or without any trying to control of the situation. I'll touch in maybe here and there. Otherwise, stillness and silence on my end, and just allow yourself to be with all of the workings of your mind. notice where your mind is going without judging it. Just see kind of how far it has drifted. Notice any emotions that you're feeling at this very moment. And if you are feeling something, what the sensations of that feeling are. Heavy, light, positive? Does it feel negative? Does it feel expansive? Or does it just feel neutral? Don't judge, don't change, just allow. We're going to be here still just for another couple minutes. Let yourself continue to just be as you are. Let the mind run as it will. Take your hands together at your heart center and just bring your focus back, knowing that there is equally as much benefit in just observing where our mind goes and attaches to naturally without having to always control the situation. A full release of control allows the mind to express what may be hidden deep down below, what may have been ignored or suppressed for a long period of time. So this is also a very important practice for us to just tune into who we are when the mind just runs wild. Thank yourselves for allowing full presence in this practice. Full release of effort, control, and a surrender into just being. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through this practice. Much love and much gratitude. Thank you. You can blink open to your eyes when you're ready. So a beneficial balance into the practice that can help us to just get to know our mind on a deeper level. And hopefully the more we let the mind kind of wander, the less attached it's going to feel about these thoughts in the long run, being able to relax them and to drop into a deeper state of presence. So would love to hear your feedback. Otherwise, we'll be practicing again here soon. Thank you.